There is a familiar moment you rarely name, a moment that doesn't interrupt your day or announce itself as important. A moment so ordinary, it almost disappears as it happens, where something inside you registers a feeling, a preference, a hesitation, a truth, and then gently steps away from it, not forcefully, not angrily, not with resistance, but with a soft internal shift that feels reasonable, almost responsible, like choosing the smoother path without consciously deciding to, like adjusting your posture without noticing you were uncomfortable, like holding your breath for a second longer than you need to because you've done it so many times before. And in that moment, there is no sense of loss or harm. Only a quiet sense that this is how things are handled, that this is how you keep moving, that this is how you remain steady. Because fully turning toward what you felt would require something you don't have space for right now. So you move past it, and the moment closes without ceremony, without acknowledgement, without being marked as anything at all. You may not even experience it as a choice. It feels more like gravity, like the natural order of things. It's like the way your body leans away from heat or sharpness without asking permission. And over time, these moments layer themselves into your days so seamlessly that they no longer stand out. They don't register as sacrifices. They don't present themselves as betrayals. They simply become the background rhythm of how you live, shaping the way you speak, the way you listen, the way you respond, the way you decide which parts of yourself are allowed to arrive and which parts quietly stay behind. You learn, slowly and without instruction, how to move past your own hesitation before it has time to form into words. How to smile at the exact moment something tightens inside your chest. How to soften your tone when you feel firmness rising. How to tell yourself that it's fine and mean it just enough to keep going. Because this isn't something you ever set out to do, and it isn't born from cruelty toward yourself. It grows out of a kind of intelligence that learned early how to keep things stable, how to keep situations from escalating, how to prevent discomfort from spreading, how to remain connected in environments where connection felt fragile and conditional. At some point, listening inward may have felt risky. Not because what you felt was wrong or unreasonable, but because honoring it carried consequences you couldn't afford, because it disrupted an atmosphere that relied on you being agreeable, because it made things harder for someone who already had enough weight to carry, because it invited reactions you didn't have the capacity to manage or recover from, so you adapted, not consciously, not strategically, but instinctively, noticing which parts of you created tension and which parts smoothed things over. Noticing when honesty led to distance and when silence kept things intact. Noticing which expressions were welcomed and which were quietly ignored, and without ever naming it, you began to choose the version of yourself that fit the space you were in. At the time, this wasn't a betrayal, it was a solution. It helped you belong. It helped you stay connected. It helped you remain readable and manageable in situations where unpredictability came with a cost. And you learned how to anticipate others before they spoke, how to feel ahead of time what would be acceptable, how to adjust your reactions before anyone had to ask. And this kind of awareness doesn't come from weakness. It comes from attention, from sensitivity, from a nervous system that learned to scan its surroundings carefully. But attention, when it is always directed outward, slowly forgets how to return home. At first, the distance from yourself is almost invisible, so small it feels inconsequential. You still know what you like. You still have preferences and opinions, still feel things, just quietly, internally, without insisting they matter enough to shape the outcome. And then the moments of override begin to happen more often. Say yes before checking in with yourself. Do you agree? Before noticing the weight that settles in your chest, you minimize discomfort because explaining it feels heavier than carrying it, and nothing collapses all at once. Nothing breaks dramatically. Life keeps moving, you keep functioning, and from the outside it may even look like maturity, like flexibility, like emotional intelligence, like being easy to be around, like someone who doesn't make things difficult. But inside, something begins to grow tired. Not the kind of tiredness sleep fixes, not the kind that resolves with rest, but a deeper fatigue. The exhaustion of constantly translating yourself into something safer. The weariness of holding your needs gently out of sight. The strain of always being the one who adjusts. The quiet loneliness of being present everywhere except with yourself. Your body learns to stay slightly braced, not in panic, not in fear, but in readiness. A subtle vigilance that never fully turns off, and you may notice it in the way rest doesn't quite land, in the way stillness feels oddly tense, in the way quiet moments are filled with a low hum of alertness, in the way your mind keeps revisiting conversations long after they end. Replaying words, scanning for missteps, wondering if you took up too much space or not enough. And this isn't because you're doing something wrong. It's because your system learned that being attuned outward kept you safe. But safety, when it requires disappearance, has a price. Over time, self-betrayal stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like personality. Like this is simply who you are. The one who understands. The one who doesn't complicate things. The one who can handle it. And you may even feel a quiet pride in this, in your ability to endure, in how little you ask for, in how rarely you inconvenience anyone. And yet beneath that competence there is often a faint sense of absence, a feeling that something essential is being skipped over, a subtle grief you can't quite locate or explain. It doesn't arrive loudly, it doesn't demand attention. It shows up as numbness in moments that should feel warm, as irritation without a clear source, as a sense of watching your life rather than inhabiting it. And when you bypass yourself often enough, the signals get quieter. Not because they disappear, but because you've learned not to respond. And your inner voice doesn't vanish. It waits patiently, almost kindly. It waits in the body, in the heaviness that arrives without explanation, the way certain decisions feel draining long before they happen, in the sense of relief you feel when plans are canceled, even if you were looking forward to them. And this waiting isn't dramatic or urgent. It carries no accusation. It knows you did what you had to do. Understanding this changes the tone of the story. It removes the accusation. It softens the edges. It allows you to see that you didn't abandon yourself because you didn't care. You stepped away because you cared deeply about survival, about continuity, about connection, and that context matters. Because it loosens the grip of shame and allows the pattern to be seen not as a flaw, but as a memory of what once worked. And still, carrying it forward asks something of you. It asks your nervous system to remain alert even when nothing is wrong. It asks your emotional world to stay contained even when it wants room. It asks your inner life to remain private even from yourself. And this creates a strange contradiction where you can be deeply reflective and deeply aware and still feel disconnected, where you can understand yourself intellectually and feel absent emotionally. Because understanding is not the same as permission. There may be moments when you feel a wish rising, quietly and tentatively, to speak more honestly. to take up more space, to say no without explaining yourself. And just as quickly something steps in, something calm and convincing that says it isn't necessary. That says it's easier this way. That says now isn't the time. And that voice isn't your enemy. It's the part of you that learned how to keep things steady, how to prevent disruption, how to protect what mattered. And you don't need to fight it or silence it. You only need to recognize where it came from. Because recognition changes the shape of things, it brings curiosity where there used to be judgment, softness where there used to be pressure, and you can notice the habit without trying to undo it. You can see the pattern without demanding a different ending. Sometimes simply naming what's happening loosens its grip. Not because it fixes anything, but because it brings you back into relationship with yourself. And there is relief in realizing you weren't broken, that nothing about you needed correcting, that what looks like self-betrayal now was once self-protection. That doesn't mean the cost disappears, but it does mean the story becomes kinder. You may still override yourself. You may still choose ease over honesty, and that's okay. Awareness doesn't require perfection. It only asks for presence, and presence can be quiet. It can be as simple as noticing the moment you step away without forcing yourself to step back. And there is no urgency here, no demand to change, no requirement to become someone else, only the gentle understanding that the part of you that learned to disappear did so for a reason, and that reason deserves respect. You can let that understanding land slowly, without conclusions, without next steps, without pressure. Just a soft recognition that settles into the body, and you are allowed to rest inside it, to sit with it, to let it be enough for now, because nothing needs to be resolved in this moment. Nothing needs to be fixed or overcome. And for now, it is enough to be here, aware, intact, and no longer alone with what you learned to carry quietly for so long.